Okay, let's take a look at project dependencies. This is a pretty important topic that we should discuss before we go further down the topic of deploying documents. So we'll go to Project, Dependencies. And that brings us into this dialog. As you can see, there's a variety of options here. We'll go ahead and look at these first. As you can see, there's options here for the Adobe Acrobat Reader, Internet Explorer, Macromedia Flash, Excel Viewer, PowerPoint Viewer, Word Document Viewer, QuickTime Activex Control, Real Player Activex Control, and Windows Media Player Activex Control. And these can search for different versions of these technologies, and we'll take a look at how we can do that in a second. But suffice to say that this is how you can automatically check for these technologies and offer a download link to people who don't have them. So for example, for our project, we would want to activate the Macromedia Flash Activex Control dependency because we're deploying our documents as Flash documents. And you can actually set this to be mandatory if you like, using the options below. Let's take a quick look at these options. We'll use our Macromedia Flash Activex Control as our demo example here. Okay, so down at the bottom, we've got a few different things that we can edit. We've got the display name. We'll leave that set to the default. And we've got the minimum version that we're going to check for. Now you can type any version you want in here. In our particular case, our Flash paper documents need version 6.0.0.0 to run properly. So it happens to match up with the default, so we'll just leave that where it is. But you could actually set that for 7.0, for example, if you had some really new Flash stuff, or 5.0 if you had some older stuff. Okay, so now in the message area here, this is the message that is going to present for the people to click on the download link. In this case, we'll leave it set to the default message, which is perfectly functional. And it says, click here to download the newest Flash control. In the download install link area, there's a default download link of macromedia.com. If you want to get more specific though, you can edit this and go to the actual Flash download page and put that link in here, so it's taking them directly to that Flash installer. That's up to you. In the variable area here, you've got a name that you can set up, and this variable is going to return the value of the detected installed version. So when we run this dependency with our project, it's going to check for Macromedia Flash, and it's going to find out what version is installed and return that value in a variable, and in this case it's going to be called FlashVar, and that's what we've got typed in here. You can name it anything you want. Now, if they don't have the technology installed, that is, if the end user, when this check is run, does not have Macromedia Flash installed, the value returned will be 0.0.0.0. So if you get that value back, you know for sure that the technology is not present. But you can automatically require the technology simply by choosing True from the pull-down menu in the Required field here, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, so that means that our application won't run until they install that technology. Okay, now in the next area here, this is purely for informational purposes. You can't edit this information, and it basically just gives you copyright and author information about the script itself. Okay, so that sets up the detection for our Flash Activex control. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other portion of the dependencies dialog, which is this dialog tab. Now, in this area, you can set up a custom dialog for the user. If they don't have the technology installed, this is what they'll see. So for example, people without Flash will see this. Now we'll just leave it set with the default values, but you could go ahead and, for example, change this. Here, actually, we'll go ahead and change this. Missing Flash Activex control. Okay, so you could type a custom message in here, put your company's name, do anything you want. Basically, I encourage you to go through this and experiment, create a couple different dialogues and see what works for you. But suffice to say that this area is for you to create a custom dialogue for your users who don't have that technology installed to see. Okay, so let's go back to the applications area here, and I'm just going to scroll up. As you can see here, our variable that we've set up is called FlashVar. We're going to go ahead and copy that into our clipboard, and we're going to do a little experiment here. I'll press OK. I'm leaving this Flash Activex control thing checked here, and we'll press OK. Now we'll come into our page area, double click on our page, and we'll set up a dialog message in here. And I had an action sitting here. I'm just going to go ahead and paste over top of it. But basically what we're doing is we're just setting up a dialog message action that's going to show that Flash variable at runtime. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. I'm going to press F5 to preview. And here's our project. As you can see, it says 7.0.19.0. So that's the version of Flash that I have installed on my machine. Now, because that version is higher than what's required, the application runs. So let's press OK, As you can see, it serves our Flash document no problem. Let's go ahead and close that down, and we'll go back to our dependency and increase the version to a version higher than the one that it just detected. So we'll go to Project, Dependencies, and we'll click on the Flash Activex control. Instead of leaving it set to 6.0.0, we're going to change that to 8.0.0.0. We'll press OK. We'll go ahead and run our application again by pressing F5. Now you can see what happens is we get presented with this custom dialog. It says that the program requires the following technologies which cannot be located on your system. We're missing the Flash Activex control. There's the custom dialog title that we put in a couple minutes ago, and as you can see, it tells you please double click on each item to find out how to install it. So if you had multiple dependencies that weren't met, there would be multiple items in this window. In this case, since it's only one, we see just that one. Now if we double click on this, so I'm actually going to open up a web browser, and we're going to be taken to the link that was placed with our dependency. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that web browser down, and I'm just going to press abort. And that just demonstrates how dependencies work. So you can go ahead and require certain technologies, such as that Flash player that you need in order to play these documents or to display these documents. So we can basically require a PDF reader, a Word viewer, PowerPoint viewer, and so forth, and go about displaying these documents in their original form in the appropriate viewer. So we'll take a look at that in the next video.